The Tamerlane coasted silently through the Seraphian expanse, a luminous ocean of starlight and nebulae. It had been 7 weeks since First Officer Lucas Trent had last set foot on a habitable planet. The mission: diplomatic outreach and resource negotiation with a Delari ascendancy, a race so enigmatic and technologically advanced that even the Union's top xenolinguists hadn't cracked their language entirely. And now, for reasons only the brass knew, Lucas had been selected as the envoy for the first face-to-face meeting with the Delari's high emissary. It wasn't his choice. In fact, he was an engineer by trade, not a diplomat. But he'd spent more time on first contact protocols than any other officer on board, and the captain had volunteered him without a second thought. So here he was in formal attire, clutching a translator node, staring at the shimmering transporter pad as it powered up. "They're ready for you," said Captain Reynolds over the comm. Lucas swallowed, nodded once, and stepped into the light. He arrived on a platform suspended in what looked like a living city. Giant crystalline structures rose like coral from a massive body of turquoise water. Air shimmered with bioluminescent motes. The Delari were known for their aesthetic sensibilities, but nothing prepared him for the figure waiting for him at the end of the platform. She was tall, easily 7 feet, and luminous. Her skin, a deep shade of violet with silver veins pulsing just beneath the surface, seemed alive. Her eyes were pools of liquid mercury, reflecting stars. Hair like strands of nebula flowed behind her, suspended as if underwater. She wore a robe of iridescent material that shifted color with every movement. Lucas froze. She extended a hand, and her voice, delivered through the translator embedded behind his ear, was rich and melodic. "You are Lucas Trent, first among your kind to stand here. I'm honored." He blinked, trying to remember his training. "I bring peaceful intentions from the United Human Coalition." She studied him. "You are different." Lucas tilted his head. "In what way?" "You carry no weapons. You wear no armor. You look upon me not with fear, but wonder." "Should I be afraid?" he asked. Her lips curled upward. Not quite a human smile, but close. "That depends." He chuckled, then caught himself. "Sorry. You're extraordinary. Beautiful even. I didn't expect." The translator paused, then rendered her reply in a tone that made the air around him seem suddenly charged. "You call me beautiful?" Lucas blinked. "Yes." Her eyes widened slightly. "In our culture, physical admiration is reserved for deep ritual. For you to speak such a word, especially upon first meeting, is either insult or invitation." "Oh," Lucas said, mentally kicking himself. "I didn't mean to offend." "Nor did you," she said slowly. "But now you must complete the ritual." "The what now?" An hour later, Lucas was seated in a chamber that looked like the inside of a geode, walls of glittering amethyst-like crystal. The emissary, whose name was something like Asarivin, sat opposite him, watching his every move with curiosity. "The ritual," she explained, "is known as Zalkaran. It is a sacred exchange. One who offers admiration must then reveal a truth of their soul." Lucas was not prepared for this. "Tell you something personal." She nodded. "Not facts. Not biography. Truth. Something that scars or defines." He hesitated, then sighed. "All right. When I was 15, my mother died in a mining collapse on Europa. The company blamed it on a misfire. I hacked into their records. It was negligence. They buried it. I've spent my whole life trying to build things, ships, protocols, safeguards, so that what happened to her doesn't happen to anyone else." The chamber was silent. Isarivin regarded him with something deeper than empathy. She touched her chest, a gesture he realized of respect. You honor her through your defiance. That is worthy. He exhaled. Thanks. Then she stood. Now it is my turn. She extended her hands and suddenly, the walls of the chamber flickered. Images filled the air. Memories, Lucas guessed. A young Delari standing before a council. Screaming. Fire. Ruins. I was once a warrior, Isarivin said. Before I was emissary. I led an assault on a rebel world. We were told it was strategic. That their existence was a threat. Believed. Until I saw the children. Until I realized there was no threat. Only dissent. The memory faded. I turned against my commanders. Spoke of peace. Was cast out. Until I was called back. Not as soldier, but as bridge. Lucas stared at her. That's a hell of a story. It is truth, she said. They sat in silence for several moments. Okay, Lucas said, his voice quieter now. What happens next? What happened next would shake the human understanding of the galaxy. Negotiations didn't just go well. They flourished. Lucas, with Isarivin by his side, helped broker one of the most critical interstellar alliances in Union history. Trade routes were opened. Technology was shared. More importantly, for the first time in centuries, the Delari agreed to co-research efforts, starting with joint missions into the shard worlds beyond the spiral rift. But it was the personal connection that captured the galaxy's imagination. Photos of Lucas standing beside Isarivin, both looking skyward from the edge of the Delari homeworld, went viral across every human comnet. Memes erupted. He called her beautiful, became a phrase synonymous with bravery and vulnerability in diplomacy. Still, Lucas was unprepared for the message he received 6 weeks after returning to the Tamerlane. I wish to know your world. Invite me. Show me what beauty means to you. They met again on Earth, in the Pacific Northwest. Lucas had chosen it deliberately, a place where ancient trees stretched toward the sky, rivers cut deep through stone, and stars reflected in cold, clear lakes. Isarivin was in awe. She touched bark with reverence, watched deer without moving, stood in rain and said, Your world smells like memory. Lucas smiled. Most people say it smells like wet dog. She laughed, a strange musical sound that echoed through the trees. That night by the fire she turned to him. Lucas Trent, she said, you called me beautiful. Do you still believe that? He looked at her, the way the fire lit her features, the way her eyes caught the stars. More than ever. Then I must tell you something. He leaned closer. Our people, when one completes Zalkaran with another, and shares their truth, they are bonded. But when both complete it, and then reaffirm it under the open sky, such a thing has not happened in over 1,000 of your years. Lucas blinked. What does that mean? It means I must ask you a question I never thought I'd ask a human. Okay. Will you bond with me? He stared. Wait, you mean like... Yes, union of souls, melding of path, what you might call love. Lucas didn't speak for a long moment. Then he reached out and took her hand. Isarivin, yes. The announcement shook both civilizations. Some called it madness. Others called it prophecy fulfilled. But one thing was clear. The bond between Lucas Trent and Isarivin had become the foundation of something greater. Their union became a symbol of peace, of vulnerability, of beauty found across impossible divides. Together, they co-founded the Zalka Institute for Intercultural Exchange, training the next generation of diplomats, not to negotiate from strength, but from truth, from the willingness to say, You are beautiful, and mean it not just physically, but in spirit. 10 years later, standing before a crowd of millions across both Earth and the Delari core systems, Lucas ended his address with the words that started everything. She was unlike anything I'd ever seen. Alien, yes. Mysterious, certainly. But in that moment, I saw not a representative of a distant empire, but a being of wonder. And I said without thinking, "You're beautiful." He paused, eyes scanning the crowd. And what happened next? That, my friends, changed everything.